In 1976, as the nation celebrated its bicentennial with grand fireworks displays and patriotic fanfare, the United States Mint continued its routine of producing millions of nickels, unnoticed and unremarkable. The Jefferson nickel, with its unchanging visage of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, had been in circulation for decades. Each coin struck was meant to be uniform, precise, indistinguishable from the next. Yet, amidst the mechanical rhythm of the Denver Mint's presses, something unexpected happened. A batch of nickels left the mint that year bearing an error so subtle it went unnoticed by the general public, yet significant enough to send ripples through the numismatic community decades later. It was not a dramatic misprint, not a missing element that would immediately catch the eye, but a slight misalignment, one so rare that it would take a keen observer to spot. The flaw was in the striking process, an anomaly in the die that left an unusual doubling effect on Jefferson's profile. A whisper of distortion, almost imperceptible unless examined closely under the right light. For years, these coins circulated in the pockets of the unaware, passed through cash registers, and clinked together in jars on kitchen counters. The error remained buried in the everyday shuffle of commerce. It wasn't until an astute collector, an older man with a practiced eye, spotted something unusual under the worn glass of his magnifier. The way Jefferson's nose and chin seemed to echo, slightly displaced yet perfectly aligned, sent a rush through his veins. This was not an ordinary nickel. Carefully, he turned it over, feeling the familiar weight of the coin. Monticello stood where it always had, but something was different. The steps, often a marker of precision for collectors, had an unusual blur to them. He had seen common doubling before, the result of a worn die, but this was sharper, more pronounced. A true double die. His hands trembled as he flipped through his reference books, scanning for any recorded errors from 1976. Nothing. Could it be a new discovery? The hunt began. He combed through rolls of nickels, sorting, inspecting, and rejecting dozens at a time. The more he looked, the more he realized how elusive this anomaly was. Not all 1976 nickels carried the defect, only a fraction, and only those struck in specific conditions. The realization dawned, if confirmed, this was more than just an error, it was a rarity, a coin that shouldn't exist but did. Word spread among collectors. Online forums buzzed with speculation. Dealers whispered about a possible new entry in the error coin registries. The nickel, once an unremarkable artifact of everyday transactions, now carried a weight beyond its mere 5 cents. Prices started modest, a few dollars here, a small bid war there. But as more experts examined the doubling, as more examples surfaced, the value climbed. A decade passed, and what was once a curiosity became a sought-after prize. Auctions listed it as a hidden gem, an overlooked anomaly from the bicentennial era. A single specimen, graded in pristine condition, fetched a surprising sum at a major auction. Then another surfaced, slightly more worn but still commanding a price that would have been unthinkable in the coin's original year. The discovery ignited a frenzy among collectors, each hoping to unearth another hidden in their collections. What made this error even more intriguing was a peculiar twist, an inconsistency in the records. The Denver Mint had no official documentation of a die misalignment that year. No recorded incidents, no acknowledgement of a flaw. Yet here it was, undeniably real, its existence contradicting the historical logs. Had the error been noticed and quietly dismissed? Had an unknown number of these flawed nickels slipped past inspectors, destined for circulation? The mystery only deepened when a retired Mint employee, in an offhand comment during a collector's event, mentioned a brief lapse in quality control at the Denver facility in mid-1976. A mechanical fault, a brief adjustment period, nothing major. But if one error had slipped through, how many others remained undiscovered? The allure of the unknown gave the 1976 nickel error a status beyond its rarity. It became a story, a puzzle, a quiet rebellion against the infallibility of the minting process. A mistake that defied the system, hiding in plain sight for decades, waiting for the right set of eyes to bring it into the light. And somewhere, in a handful of loose change, perhaps another still waits.